All right, guys, I'd like to go over the finishing mechanics from the backside 50-50 position. They're a little bit different, and the nice thing about it is that it's like punching people in the face with your backhand. Even if you screw it all the way up, it still kind of works. But that's actually why you can get a false positive on this one, and you're going to get a lot of people tapping and whatnot. But it's very, very important that that you're able to get the job done, in the event that they don't tap, so that it's not I'm going to submit you, it's I'm going to hurt you, and then we'll see what happens. So anyway, backside 50-50 operates similarly in concept. In principle, it's the exact same thing to any other footlock. If you see it, please, Adam. So from left leg to left leg here. So any of these, what do you feel?
I feel like you've taken all the slack out of my knee, my ligaments.
That's all we're shooting for, guys. That's how you finish leg attacks. If I had a gut that went out to here and I just grabbed his foot, it would do all the trick for me. It was like right now I can feel there's tons of slack in Adam's leg, but that's because of my build relative to his. So by simply turning or adjusting or adjusting or adjusting or adjusting, you can get the job done. Now, the problem of face-to-face 50-50, or one of the problems, one of the annoyances, is that guys got 1, 2, 3 resources with which either grab or hit you. So it's not the end of the world, and it can be managed, but wouldn't it be great if he had no arms and only one leg, and I was able to heel hook him? Wouldn't be that cool of me, but it'd be pretty easy. So if we come back, if we rotate, and Adam turns to his hands, backside 50-50 functions like this. I still want to take his toes, I should say, and use them to turn in a perfect circle his shin. Now, as you notice, my legs are still locked. They ought to be locked. There's no reason not to for the most part. But keep in mind, even without that, because of the unique nature of the position, the weight of my top leg pinning his knee to the floor makes it really, really rough for him to do anything to dissipate the pressure or to add extra slack to his leg. So I'm pinching his toes in my armpit or on my ribs. A lot of times it ends up being the ribs. If you go all the way to the armpit, things get a little mushy sometimes. And again, you're going to have to, your build relative to the other person's. If you have small people in your gym, try to footlock them gently and under control, because if you can footlock people with tiny little baby feet, footlocking people with big old flippers is a heck of a lot easier. It's a longer lever and it's easier to get a hold of. But what I'm doing right now is I have to recognize that if I'm trying to turn his heel or back arch, there's no like, oh, you deadlift or you bring your hips in or you spaz onto the leg and it's going to get the effect you want. What you're trying to do is turn in the direction that's going to rotate his shin in a dead circle. I'm trying to replace his toes with his heel, and you're going to feel for tension. So I want you to actually close your eyes and rotate your body. If I do this and I'm spazzing and I'm trying to freak out, it actually doesn't do anything. Now, if you did this to me, I would try to get out and kill you because you're spazzing out of my leg and it might get lucky. However, the real scariness comes from turning your shoulder down. So really the point of contact that I'm using is actually the back of my armpit, because that's the thing that's actually touching the knuckle of Adam's toes. It's not this wrist, although obviously that has some utility, but that's not what's getting it done. The wrist is the fulcrum, the lever is the foot, the applied pressure is the back of my armpit. So if someone starts to turn and backstep, you're going to have to move in space with this and maintain pressure. But if he backsteps aggressively and I start just hipping up, I may actually be helping his cause, not hurting it. So if we come back again, I'm going to close my eyes. So I'm removing the sensory input from my eyes. And I'm not trying to go like, what should I look? What do I do with my hips? I feel tension. I'm like, how do I take away space? I'm like, okay, great. Notice my left armpit. Not turn, not hips. I'm not saying if you do all that stuff that it couldn't work, but you could make all sorts of dumb ideas work if you try really hard and the other person's not defending properly.
Tap. Tap.
It's my armpit depressing this, rotating this in a perfect circle. If Adam turns, the direction that I need to go to turn in the perfect circle changes. Adam backsteps. That's not the direction anymore. Do you feel pressure?
A little bit, nothing like how it was. Now I do tap.
If we rotate to the inside, what's the point of contact? It's the back of the shoulder, or where the tricep meets the rest of your arm, or the rest of your upper body. Please flip over. I'm like, cool. And I'm able to follow this through space. If you are able to execute this under control, not only are you going to have a great deal of power to be effective with your submission, but you're also going to be safe and you're going to be protecting your partners from themselves. So making sure that you get a good bite on the actual, the meat of the foot, the meat of the foot itself. The wrist is the fulcrum around which this whole thing will pivot, and the pressure that you're applying on the foot is in a perfect circle in the direction of the toes. You want this to come with the back of your armpit, rotating 180, and you can always feel the slack. So the less you start spazzing around, the more you're going to be successful with this. And then beyond that, the more your partners are going to start to trust you that you're not just going to hurt them, so you're not going to get a lot of taps early. Heel hooking is an awesome thing. However, you get a ton of false positives because people are rightly concerned for the safety and health of their knee. So they constantly tap. You'll see this in jiu-jitsu tournaments all the time. People are tapping the heel hooks that are not actually going to hurt them. And I don't blame them because they have a tournament next weekend or they're not a real professional or something like that. They're not willing to put their knee at risk. But if you were to take that into a fight and then expect that to hurt somebody, you would end up a little bit short and you just have someone that's now angry and punching you in the face. So you need to make sure that you can do this under control, execute it under control. That way you're going to have people hanging in the position longer and you're going to be more effective. So you're going to know when you've got it.